5:59. It's time almost. As it is now officially 6 o'clock, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And if we'll take a moment for silent prayer and reflection, that would be a good idea right now. As my prayer time is done, I will say amen, and I will ask for the roll call.
Archana Alia,
Here.
Kyle Niederman,
Here.
Lisa Roman,
Here.
Eric Moran,
Here.
John Maston.
Here. And if you'll stand with me, let's say the pledge to the state flag, or the country flag.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we're at call to public. We don't have anything? Okay. We don't have anybody who wants to address us today, and that'll take us to recognition of visitors. I'd like to welcome our two new board members to their most recent meeting, Eric and Kyle. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'd also like to take a minute and introduce Eric as our vice president and me as our president. That's the results of our last meeting's election. And I don't see that I have anyone here from Lake Havasu Education Association. And if you were here, Carol, we would welcome you and we'd love you to come up and talk to us about what's going on. So we look forward to you next time.
Actually, I think she's walking in right now.
Is she?
Yeah.
Are you here? You're up. She's running. I need a camera for this one. You forget how fast I go through stuff.
Jean needed something before I walked out, so I had to take care of that. So, hi.
And welcome, Carol. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. So for our new board members, I know we've met, but we're going to now meet in a different capacity. I am the Lake Havasu City Education Association president, and I absolutely am thankful for the opportunities that I have at this moment of having the opportunity to speak with you once a month. Sorry, I'm the only one in here, so. So I want to make sure that you guys know that I want a working relationship with you all, and I think I've established that with the 3 current board members and then now with our new ones. So Number one, right now, because it's January, our sessions are back in legislative session. And so when I come and speak once a month, I will come to you with education policies that are being presented at the state level, just to keep you aware of what's going on there. I do have a relationship with our legislators, and I communicate with them. I watch them. We text back and forth while they're sitting in session, just so they know that we are aware of what's going on. They've all been in my classroom, so we have a relationship. So when I come to you once a month, I just want you to know, like, I'm vetted into the process. So welcome, and thank you for being here. And I just wanted to introduce myself today. I know we started last week with session, but I haven't had a chance to look at the policies, the bills that have been presented last week. But the next time I meet with you guys, I will have some bills, a list of bills that have been presented to the House and to the Senate. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay, can I read?
And up next on our agenda is the consent agenda. Does anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda? Then I will open it for discussion or a motion.
I move we accept the consent agenda as written.
I second.
And I'll call the question.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Eric Horan,
Yes.
Archana Alliar,
Yes.
John Maston,
Yes. And up next for us is number 5, our business, our old business. And I believe that's going to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is recommended that the board approve the second presentation of the revised policies listed below per Arizona School Boards Association Policy Services Advisory for July 2020. IAH ARS 1-319 specifies that September 25th in each year shall be observed as Sandra Day O'Connor Civic Celebration Day, which is not a legal holiday, but if Sandra Day O'Connor Civic Celebration Day falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or other day when a public school is not in session, the preceding or following school day shall be observed in the public school as the holiday. ARS 15-710-01 adds that on Sandra Day O'Connor Civic Celebration Day, each public school in the state shall dedicate the majority of the school day to civics education. And KB Senate Bill 1061 has added Section 15-249 to the statutes, which states access to the Arizona DOE Statutory Handbook of Parental Rights be prominently posted on a publicly accessible portion of the district website. Requests for changes to these policies were made by the board at the September 15th, 2020 regular board meeting, and language changes are noted with highlighting. First reading was on August 18th, 2020, and the item was postponed in October.
I move that we would pass 5.1 as presented.
I second.
And I would just like to add that I think for our state to have somebody who used to be a Supreme Court of the United States judge and was appointed by a good president of Ron Reagan, I think we've done a very good job of getting this incorporated at some level into how we operate.
I would add, I agree with that. Just as a personal note, I named my daughters after strong women, and I named one of my daughters' middle names Day as Sandra Day O'Connor, so I really appreciate the opportunity to honor a very strong female and somebody who was a pioneer in the judicial area.
Mine got named Mary because we liked Mary.
Eric Horan,
Yes.
Archana Alliar,
Yes.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
John Maston,
Yes. And now in item 6 on our agenda, 6.1 is selection of 2 governing board members to be in the coming year's budget committee. Do we have any volunteers?
I would like to volunteer. I'm very interested in learning about the budget.
I've done this in the past, and so I'd throw my name in there as well. I actually stood this up the first 2 years it happened.
And I will volunteer as well. I have served on this committee. I served on it last year.
I'd be interested in doing it as well, but if you guys are wanting to do it, I'd be more than happy to have somebody with a little bit of experience doing it, and then somebody else. The vice president is okay with me too. We're still going to get all the information, correct?
If you'd like to do it, I'll step out of your way.
I'm more than happy to do it.
Okay, so we've got 3 names in the pot. I've removed mine to give Kyle a chance at doing it, which I think is good for Kyle to do. And I think we'll call the question based on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
So to me, kind of the idea is, do we need I know, my reason for wanting to be in it is just because being new, I need to learn. I don't know if, it's very helpful to have one experienced and one not experienced, or if it's just simply this would be good for the 2 non-experienced. So I'd appreciate insight from the ones who've been on it, if you feel like somebody who's a senior member needs to be on it, as well as a beginning member, or if it's okay for 2 beginners.
I think it would be okay for 2 beginners to be on it. As I said, I served on it last year, and so did Mrs. Aliar. It was both our first year serving. And my approach to it, and maybe my approach is different than other members would be, but I approached it kind of as a listening tour to be able to hear what the financial concerns were for our district and how to best balance those out. And so I would have no problem if it were 2 new people on the board in that capacity, because as you said, that information gets relayed back to everyone anyway. Teachers and staff members, if they want to reach out to other board members individually, they are more than welcome to do that, as with any other issue. So that's where I stand on it.
I think the goal here is to keep it at 2 board members,
Yes.
because when you get to 3, it gets awkward.
Well, and 3 would violate
Yes.
open meeting law. Yes, we do
That's
have to
where,
have it
that's
narrowed
what
down
it gets
to 2.
awkward at, yes.
Yeah.
Are you okay then with Kyle and I?
That would be okay with me.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea. I would make a motion that we do Eric and Kyle as our representatives.
And then I will second.
Archana Eliar,
Yes.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Aaron Moran,
Yes.
John Maston,
Yes. At 6.2, we've got approval of new courses of Lake Havasu High School for the 21-22 year.
So that is also going to be me. Thank you, Mr. President. Again, it is recommended that the governing board approve the attached list of new courses for the 21-22 school year at Lake Havasu High School. The following courses will be added based on the rationale provided in the attached new course submission form: CTE Anatomy and Physiology Intro to Sports Medicine. It's an honors 1 and 2. CTE Anatomy and Physiology Intro to Sports Medicine. Senior English Language and Literature Shakespeare 1 and 2. Senior English Language and Literature World Mythology 1 and 2. The courses listed below will continue with the same course description, with only the name of the course changing. This change is necessary to align with the state-required CTE programming. So CTE Intro Graphic Design 1 and 2, CTE Intermediate Graphic Design 1 and 2, and CTE Advanced Graphic Design 1 and 2.
I would move that we pass 6.2 as presented. I think these are good ideas because this really opens up the English language areas in our school.
I will second the motion.
Yeah, and I would just like to add, I'm very excited about this. This is one of those things where we are giving more opportunities to our kids The anatomy and physiology and sports medicine, that one's near and dear to my heart. I took this many years ago. It's helped me wrapping my own legs when I've got injured playing basketball. It's a beginning type of course for anybody who's thinking about going into the healthcare industry. We need students in the healthcare industry, kids coming in, helping us here in the community. I can't think of a better, use of our time of getting these things approved. I'm also very much for the English. I think, once again, giving students more opportunity to delve into some classical literature is always a great idea for those who want to.
I like some of the opportunities that these classes provide, but I'd like to get a little bit more information on the one for the world mythology course too. If I can request a syllabus for that course, if we're teaching mythology, as far as like a social view of worldviews, I'd like to know a little bit more about that as well.
I can't hear completely. In the description, it says this course provides an overview of mythology and its relationship to ancient and current cultures. The course covers the purposes and types of myths, the development of myths and mythological characters, the common elements of mythological structures, the predominant characteristics of deities and sacred places in myth, contemporary theories of myths and mythology, and how myths and mythic structures shape contemporary culture and literature. There will be an emphasis on close reading, discussion, and analysis of literary themes. Students will prepare for and participate effectively in a range of conversations to express their ideas and learn from and build on the ideas of others. They will formally and informally present their knowledge and ideas through various written assignments. It incorporates comprehensive application of grammar skills and MLA guidelines. We already have this course, but the request is for the extension of the semester-long course that's already in place to become a full year-long course for students to continue throughout the rest of their senior year.
I know for me, this type of course, as this is actually one I had in college way back when, it really kind of goes around those real classical mythologies, seeing what's happening with them in literature, maybe getting to Joseph Campbell. I don't know if you all, kind of I forget the name of that. Do you all remember the Joseph Campbell one?
I have no idea.
It's like The Hero's Journey or something like that. I'm sorry, I just can't remember. But for this one, it's really about those classical type of ones. It's not, it's something that's a real foundational type of course in mythology rather than, an explorative, I would say. So I think this is one where students can kind of get a leg up if they're thinking about going in that direction in college. About how many students do we know take that course presently?
I do not. I
Yeah,
can get
I
that
know
information.
it's off the cuff or whatever. This is an elective, though, but it can be in place of their senior, right? So I would imagine that this is one where you would have a group of students who are very passionate about it, as opposed to just students who are coming in and not really, getting, okay, I'm coming into mythology and what's happening. No, they want mythology, and they're choosing this as opposed to that. So that's my view.
In my junior and senior year in this school, I went very much into the mythology. And I like to just dive into that and get deep into it and see what was there and how it was done. It was just a good subject for me to take. And I think if we do Shakespeare, we're just adding to what the kids get to actually learn. And when we talk about things like core knowledge, and we start talking about mythology and Shakespeare, those are good takeoffs from where the kids are coming from in their history getting up to 11th and 12th grade.
And I would support these revisions for very similar reasons to what's been mentioned here so far, but the sports medicine, it will give kids who are interested in pursuing a career in the health field, it'll give them some practical knowledge to do that. And then for the English not changes, but additions, since we require 4 years of English anyway. This gives students a chance to specialize if there's something of particular interest to them. And I suspect that kids, just in anything, learn better and take it more seriously if they're personally invested and they had some choice in the matter. So I like the fact that it gives them a chance to specialize in an area that interests them.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Eric Horan,
Yes.
Archana Aliyar,
Yes.
John Maston,
Yes. And now we go to Mr. Murray. You've got both 6.3 and 6.4 on the agenda, so it's all up to you now, Mike.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is recommended the governing board approve an increase to previously approved project management services with the H2 group for an amount that is not to exceed $190,000. On February 18th, 2020, the governing board approved project management services with the H2 group for an amount that was not to exceed $160,000. Due to an increase in the construction timeline for building, remodeling, and renovating district facilities, it is necessary to increase the project management services timeline to mirror construction schedules. District projects have been moving along quite well. However, there have been occasional delays or slowing of projects due to labor issues, scheduling of subcontractors, and delays in the availability of certain materials and products. Project completion is scheduled for the end of March, and the Mojave Cooperative contract will continue to be used, and the item has been reviewed by purchasing.
I would move that we accept 6.3 as presented.
I'll second.
I know how these things go. I've been with a lot of budget projects. I was kind of wondering about what percentage is that over?
So the overall, their services are approximately 1.4% of the total construction cost.
That's awesome. I mean, when I do something at my house, I put in 10 to 15% for overages. So if it's 1.4%, that is good news, even though it is a little bit of an overage.
This one does kind of bother me because, to me, we already approved the not to exceed amount of $160,000. And so to me, expanding that to $190,000 then sort of raises the question, well, if we already said that it was not to exceed that prior amount. I would be willing to make a one-time exception because we are in the middle of a pandemic, and I understand that people, that the project managers on this didn't have a crystal ball and maybe weren't able to foresee the problems that would be incurred with getting supplies and labor. But I don't think, going forward, I feel like if we're going to say that this is our not to exceed amount, then we should stick to that.
Well, the not to exceed is not to exceed indefinitely. Not to exceed is that we are looking at an invoice, we have per diem, we have lodging to take into account. So under those conditions, not to exceed is adding a little bit to the project, noting that hotel prices today, we're talking back in February, pre-COVID, that this was originally approved. So not to exceed is added when there are unknowns like lodging, travel expenses, where a vendor may have to come up more than once a week for some odd reason that it warrants them traveling out of Phoenix and coming up here additional times than originally planned. So that's why the not to exceed is there. It doesn't mean that not to exceed is just the end all. It's not to exceed forever and ever and ever. Under these conditions for COVID and for this project delay because of the reasons that were stated in the action item, that's why we are, again, requesting the not to exceed amount because, again, hopefully I'm not back here in April with other things that happened. Again, you mentioned the crystal ball. Hopefully that there is nothing more on the horizon. We're all optimistic in that. But again, the not to exceed is just mainly keeping into account that we don't know what hotel rates will be 3 weeks from now. And what those costs associated with travel will be at that particular time. I was kind of a little bit more heavy on the not to exceed amount. because I'm anticipating that the project may go an extra week or two or whatever. So hopefully you won't see me again asking for another not to exceed. But again, this was pre-COVID, as mentioned, February 18th. We weren't even talking about COVID till March. So we were just in a construction meeting last week, and they were working on a project in Phoenix, and it was noted that an entire glass company was shut down just recently because of COVID. And so construction stopped when it came to the glass part of that project, which was a major part of that project. So everyone's dealing with the unknowns and the project delays at this time. But we're still, this project management firm, just for the record, has saved us approximately $175,000 already in negotiated fees with our contractors and general conditions. They've been instrumental in reviewing plans and working with the contractor and looking for value engineering proposals. Just on the high school field alone, the original proposal was to add drainage pipe all the way from the south side to the north side on the facility down below for water retention. With value engineering and looking at things a little bit more in depth and asking questions, which this firm has a lot of experience in doing. It was determined that there was a better way to do it with far less money than running concrete pipe from the north to the south, which was very, very expensive. So this company, in my opinion, has paid for itself just in the savings alone already, and dealing with all the COVID issues on top of it. We were supposed to be done with this in December, and we're looking now end of March with the 8 facilities that we've been working on.
Thank you for that information, especially the information about the savings that the project management company has given us. That does ease my mind. Thank you.
Okay, we'll ask the question.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Eric Arand,
Yes.
Archana Aliyar,
Yes.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
John Masden,
Yes. And Mr. Murray, now 6.4.
Mr. President, members of the board, it's recommended the board approve the vouchers for December of 2020 and student activity funds for K-12 November of 2020, as well as the auxiliary funds for November of 2020.
I would move that we accept 6.4 as presented.
I will second.
Okay, Terry.
Eric Arand,
Yes.
Archana Aliyar,
Yes.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
John Masden,
Yes. And now we're at number 7, informational. Rebecca, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I would just, again, like to thank all of our teachers and our staff. I know they are working above and beyond to make sure our classes are covered, to make sure our kids are getting everything that they need. Just appreciate everything they are doing, everything our principals are doing, and our directors. Everyone is pitching in. It's all hands on deck, and really all hands are on deck, and they're working really well through this process. We continue, I do want the public to be aware that we continue to work daily with our health department. And as we have positive cases in our schools, they do process all of those with us. They talk us through what we may need to do differently or if we need to change anything. And currently they do still support our opening practices at this time.
Okay, thank you. It's very good that we have the help of the health department and we have the help of Havasu's newspaper in this as well, because what those two companies do is very, very good for our district. Mm-hmm. I think we do a lot more than people realize when it comes to our current pandemic and how it actually affects our schools. I think we've done a really good job in working with people. Mm-hmm. And now I'd ask for directors. Any directors have informational reports for us? governing board members? Does anybody here have any information they want to share? And then last, advisory committees. And 1 for 4, that's not bad batting at this thing. And we're going to wind up with another call to the public. Do we have any? No more people to come up and talk to us? And then communications, board suggestions for future agenda items? Do we have anyone here from the press or the media? Not seeing anybody from that. That's us through number 9. And that gets us to number 10, which is adjournment.
I will make a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
And just prior to us adjourning, I will remind people that on Tuesday, February 16th, 2021 at 6 p.m., we'll have another meeting right here in this room. And with that,
Lisa Roman,
Yes.
Eric Orand,
Yes.
Archana Alliar,
Yes.
Kyle Niederman,
Yes.
John Masden.
yes.
Thank you.
And with that, it is my pleasure to declare us adjourned. And I want to thank everybody for coming and helping us with our meeting today.